The relentless rain had already begun, turning streets into rivers. But what started as a heavy downpour in the small town would quickly escalate into something far beyond imagination. Cars were swept away like toys in a bathtub, becoming trapped and submerged in the rising flood waters. Homes, businesses, and infrastructure were completely at the mercy of this relentless torrent. The flood spread rapidly, engulfing the streets and leaving many stranded. The town was in utter chaos. Residents battled the rising waters, desperately seeking safety. A similar scene unfolded in another area, where a raging torrent tore through the landscape. A small bridge is no match for the force of nature. Flooding from the heavy rains threatened lives and property across multiple areas. The water level rose so rapidly it became impossible to escape in time for many residents. Bridges collapsed, roadways disappeared, and the community was cut off. The scale of destruction left residents shocked and terrified. Across the region, the effects of torrential rains were catastrophic. A bridge, already weakened by flooding, finally gave way. The rushing water carries away tons of debris and earth. And the downpours weren't the only culprit. Landslides brought down mountainsides, blocking roads and burying structures. The scene is one of raw power and destruction. The residents only had moments to react to the approaching disaster. The force of the mudslide was undeniable. In the blink of an eye, the road was covered in tons of earth and debris. Miraculously, the people filming this horrific scene managed to escape injury. Across the world, another powerful storm raged. A massive tornado was witnessed. The immense power of the tornado was evident. The swirling vortex of dust and debris was a terrifying sight. In Luxembourg, another tornado of even greater strength struck on the same day. The devastation in Prudentopolis, Brazil, was severe. Landslides and flooding caused extensive damage. The scale of the disaster is overwhelming. Homes and properties were completely inundated by floodwaters. The rapid rise of the water caught many off guard, leaving them with little to no time to react. In Prudentopolis, Brazil, torrential rains starting on the night of March 6th lasted more than 24 hours. Rivers and streams quickly burst their banks, causing flash floods that swept away everything in their path. The destruction was widespread, with homes, businesses, and infrastructure severely damaged or destroyed. The city's drainage system couldn't handle the volume of water. The abrupt explosion from the volcano was heard while people were preparing their breakfast. Avalanches can also cause catastrophic destruction. This avalanche shows the powerful force of nature. The force of the water was intense. The heavy rains continued throughout the day. Streets transformed into violent rivers of debris and water. These massive tornadoes show the awesome, destructive power of nature. The flood waters were rapidly rising and residents were caught off guard. The storm's impact was immense. A transformer exploded, sending debris flying. The devastation was widespread, with many buildings collapsing under the storm's ferocity. Cars were swept away by the flood waters. The rising water level quickly overwhelmed residents, leaving many stranded and fearing for their lives. Flooding caused extensive damage and loss of life. Homes were destroyed by the surging waves. The force of the storm is evident as a transformer explodes, sending debris high into the air. 2 cars are completely submerged in floodwaters. Another landslide blocked roads and destroyed homes. The power of nature was undeniable. Cars were swept away in the floodwaters, highlighting the need for preparedness and effective disaster response. A massive explosion caused a large plume of smoke. The sheer scale of the disaster was enormous. The intensity of the flood waters caused a bridge to collapse. The rapid rise of the water was unexpected and caused many homes to flood. Rescue crews braved the dangerous floodwaters to help those in need. flooding turned streets into raging rivers. The intensity of the flooding caught many off guard, leading to significant property damage and fear for the residents' safety. The floodwaters rose rapidly, submerging cars and sweeping debris along. The speed and force of the water were incredibly dangerous. Flooding in another area caused more damage and destruction. The force of the current is undeniable, and the debris being carried along highlights the dangerous conditions. The rising floodwaters damaged or destroyed multiple homes and properties. The river is swollen and raging, showing the immense power of the floods. Homes were quickly flooded by the rising waters. The floodwaters are rapidly rising. Multiple homes and properties were submerged. The amount of debris being carried along in the floodwaters showcases the severity of the flooding. Residents are seen wading through the floodwaters, highlighting the challenges of navigating the disaster zone. The scene showcases the complete disruption and devastation caused by the flood. The flooding also impacted schools. Gedgar, an integrated school in the Philippines, saw its graduation ceremony disrupted by the rising floodwaters. Hopefully, the hurdles caused by this disaster wouldn't spoil the joy of this day. A bridge is seen nearly completely submerged, illustrating the severity of the flooding. The floodwaters completely inundated a street and surrounding buildings. The intensity of the currents was dangerous. The flooding was severe, with cars becoming submerged in rapidly rising waters. The strength of the current was a threat to lives and properties. The flooding in Prudentopolis, Brazil, was a large-scale event that the government was slow to respond to. It took several hours before the army and other rescuers reached the city. The floodwaters rose quickly and overwhelmed the area. The 1925 tornado in Missouri caused 241 deaths. This was one of the deadliest weather events in history. The floodwaters caused widespread damage and destruction. Homes were swept away and destroyed by the power of the water. Lightning strikes posed an additional threat during the storm. The floodwaters are shown rising and inundating homes and properties. The streets are transformed into fast-flowing rivers. Flooding caused cars to become submerged in the rising waters. The floodwaters continue to rise and threaten more homes and businesses. A boat is seen struggling to navigate the strong currents. A car is shown driving through floodwaters on a city street. This emphasizes the dangers of driving during a flood event. The relentless downpour further contributed to the flooding. Two tornadoes were confirmed during this massive weather event, with the strongest being ranked the F2. The sheer scale of the disaster was immense. The power of the water caused a home to be destroyed. A tsunami shows the immense destructive power of nature. Tornadoes, while a terrifying force of nature, can also be a sight to behold. The power and destruction they leave behind serve as a reminder of nature's force. The floodwaters rapidly inundated this area. The floodwaters continued to rise and threaten homes and properties. The raging currents pose a danger to anyone caught in them. Landslides, another powerful force of nature, pose significant threats. More flooding caused severe damage to homes and properties. A mud volcano shows another destructive power of nature. The power of nature is overwhelming. The sound of the mud volcano is clearly heard. The floodwaters rose quickly and inundated this area, damaging or destroying many homes and properties. A volcano erupts, showing another example of nature's powerful force. Flooding resulted in widespread damage and loss of property. The devastation caused by the tornadoes is shown. The damage to homes is severe. The intensity of the storm is undeniable, as shown by the dark and ominous clouds. More flooding is seen, this time in a residential area. The video is showing the immense impact of the floods. More flooding scenes are shown. Homes and businesses are completely inundated. A home is seen collapsing into the river due to the erosion caused by the flood waters. The floodwaters continue to rise and threaten homes and businesses. A van is seen struggling to navigate the rapidly rising waters. Tornadoes are a powerful force of nature capable of causing immense damage and destruction. The footage highlights the storm's intensity and scale. The floodwaters are rising rapidly. Cars are becoming submerged in the rising waters. The currents are strong and pose a serious danger. Homes and buildings are seen being damaged or destroyed by the floodwaters. A landslide shows the immense power of nature. The people on the road are seen running to get to safety. Floodwaters are seen rising. Sandbags are put in place to protect against the rising waters, but aren't overwhelmed. The floodwaters are continuing to rise and cause damage to homes and businesses. A landslide shows nature's destructive power. The unstable ground has given way due to heavy rains and erosion. The floodwaters continue to cause widespread damage to homes and buildings. A home is seen collapsing into the heavy rains cause a flash flood. People are seen struggling to get out of harm's way. In the event of a tornado warning, it's essential to take shelter or evacuate immediately. Your life is at stake. The aftermath of the storm showed widespread damage. The debris is seen scattered across the landscape. Landslides and flooding caused extensive damage to homes and properties. Tornadoes are a terrifying force of nature. The floodwaters show the strength and danger of flooding. Tornadoes can cause significant damage in urban areas as well. Flooding poses serious threats to lives and property. This scene highlights the risk of unexpected flooding. A landslide caused a building to collapse. The unstable ground and heavy rains contributed to the disaster. The floodwaters continue to rise and threaten more homes and businesses. A boat is seen struggling to navigate the strong currents. The floodwaters rose quickly, inundating streets and causing damage to buildings and infrastructure. The floodwaters caused damage to a home. The intensity of the current is shown as debris and other objects are being carried along the river. The flooding is severe. Cars are submerged in the rising waters. A landslide has blocked a road. People are seen running away from the approaching disaster. Hail and strong winds caused significant damage. Floodwaters have inundated a street, damaging a guardrail and causing significant damage. The force of the flooding is overwhelming. Homes and businesses are seen struggling to withstand the currents. A tornado shows the immense destructive power of nature. A landslide completely destroys a building. The floodwaters carry away debris and other objects. Another landslide shows the immense power of nature. People are seen running away from the approaching disaster. Tornadoes are a powerful force of nature. The footage shows the immense destructive power of a tornado. An avalanche shows another example of nature's destructive power. Floodwaters rose quickly and overwhelmed the area, even submerging a bus. Tornadoes, while a terrifying force of nature, can be a sight to behold. The footage showcases the intensity of the storm and scale of the damage. A tornado in Elie, Manitoba, shows another example of the immense power of nature. Another landslide shows the devastating impact of heavy rains and erosion. The people are shown running to safety. The heavy rains caused flash floods, which were intensified by the region's challenging terrain. The footage shows the immense power of the water. Flood waters rapidly inundated homes and businesses. Another landslide shows the immense destructive power of nature. The people are shown running away from the approaching disaster.